Hey, this is Steven from Steven's Classic Garage. So, I think I'm gonna have to resort to kind of sometimes, well, I've been doing it. I need to do more. I promise that I'll get you guys some more footage and more common updates. Because what I was trying to do is I was trying to give you guys some solid updates about one specific topic, but I've been struggling with time allocation. So. With having time for each of my projects, so just when I have some sort of update and I kind of have some things all in one space, I will go over it. Okay, so paint with the Mustang. This is going to be a dual Rabbit and Mustang update. So as you can see, I'm still pretty good at getting the surface finish pretty good, but if you'll notice, it still has this little kind of choppiness, and it still has kind of some deep scratches, and it still has kind of got this waviness to it. I mean, the waviness is not that bad, but it's still there. So, same issue here. So I did upgrade, well, theoretically upgrade, because technically this stuff is more expensive. I now have the Classic. I had Finish Masters change me over to the Classic, the Smart Classic, which is now a 4-to-1 system. So now I have the 4-to-1 system, and it does seem to be better. It doesn't nearly have the off-gassing smell that the Euro had. So I shot another test panel here. So this is the same Euro. So this is the Classic shot over the lacquer. I don't know if you guys could kind of see that texturized finish. So there's that texturized finish. This side. So this is the side with the Classic. It's similar. I think that the Classic is a little better. And so right now I cannot put a fingernail into it anymore, but I can still if I just tap it, you can see it's creating tiny little grooves. So I could still do that. So what that means, what I'm thinking is the issue here is that when I spray this Classic, there's a decent amount of acetone carrier in here because these are both solvents. There's a decent amount of solvent in this Classic, whether it's Classic or the Euro, that when you spray it, it will go down and it will basically liquefy the bottom coat and then seal it shut. So I think that is one of the issues, is that it lets the acetone get down there and then it doesn't dry within the 20 minutes that the lacquer underneath dries, right? Because the lacquer underneath dries in about 20 minutes or so. It's you could touch it and nothing happens. So, but between coats, I'm waiting 15 minutes. So what I'm thinking is that the clear is drying before the acetone can release. So basically, it's catalyzing and setting up before all the acetone carrier could get out. So, and then it gets sealed further, sealed further, sealed further, sealed further. With each subsequent layer, the acetone falls down or whatever, and then liquefies the base layer again. So that's what I'm thinking is the issue. And I was talking to my neighbor Bob that is a manager at a paint shop, at an automotive paint shop, and I asked him kind of what they use. And basically what they led me to believe is that they use waterborne because the state mandated that they change over to it in 2000, They started working on it in 93 or something. They switched over by 97, so they were ready to go by 2000. So they've been spraying it for 19 years now. So what they do is their base coat is waterborne, and their top coat, their finish coat is their clear coat is solvent. So basically the state mandated that they have to do half and half. So they don't have any issues with that. And you know, back in the day I don't think they had much issues with solvent based paint, but that would have been before urethanes. So that would have been probably lacquer on lacquer, so no catalyzed stuff probably. So they might have had catalyzed, I don't know, but basically that makes a lot of sense, because even if you get the solvent down at the bottom layer, it won't loosen up that bottom layer. Because basically that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that because I shot that bare metal piece over here, and this is not reacting here to anything pretty much, regardless of side. You know, here it's pretty freaking hard, right? So what I'm thinking is that what's actually liquefied is the bottom layer, not the top layer. So the bottom layer is still soft, and whenever you press on this, it moves the bottom layer, and it's sealed off so that it seals the acetone in, and the acetone can't permeate through the clear. I mean, the idea with the clear is supposed to keep the elements out, but it also is keeping the elements in. So it's keeping that acetone on the inside, and it's making that lacquer really soft, because there's no way for that lacquer to get out. So what I'm going to do tomorrow is I'm going to polish this guy. I'm going to cut and buff this guy and see what I can get out of it, and see if I have that same issue that I had before. Because this is harder to the point where I can't put my fingernail into it. So that's pretty good. So we will see with that. So that's kind of what I have right now. That's the thought. That just came up this morning, so I might also try that. And now on the Rabbit, we have a lot of stuff going on. This is going to be probably my next video. I actually did a brake mod. So what I did is I swapped in a 1983, 84 GTI Kelsey Hayes, which are from a US Rabbit, which they have calipers that look like this. These are actually some stock ones. So these are stock ones from 83, from an 83 NA Rabbit. And what I ended up doing is I ended up getting these just for the brackets that hold the pads on. You can see there's a bracket, and then there's the piston housing here. There's the actual piston. So there's actually two different parts to it. So there's a part that this bolts to right here, and that goes to the piece that holds the pads on. So basically you need to buy these just to get that bracket that holds the pads on. So what I decided to do is I decided to take those off of these, and then I just bought remanufactured, restored, basically rebuilt calipers that have been sandblasted and recoated. And now those are the ones that are on the car, and I'm going to send these in as cores for them to do their own setup. They do have oil sitting in them. They do have oil sitting in them to make sure that it is free if I ever wanted to use it, but I have already decided and gone with those. And then you can see that I have my other rotors, and what I ended up doing is I ended up going with the new vented rotors, the new 9.4 inch vented rotors. And now the Kelsey Hayes, they use pads like this instead of pads like this. You can see they're kind of like motorcycle pads almost, the small little pads. So that's what I ended up using. So that was the stock Rabbit. These are ATE or Tevis, T-E-V-A-S, Tevis calipers. So ATE calipers or Tevis calipers. There's three types of calipers: ATE, Tevis, Girling, and Kelsey Hayes. Kelsey Hayes is usually on the US Rabbits. So also, if you notice, I have a bad hose here. So I ended up changing all the rubber, changing the two rubber lines. Now this is also pretty exciting. I have some stuff to swap into the dash. So this part just came this morning from Germany, and it is a deluxe interior off of a right-hand drive. You can see it's for a right-hand drive Sirocco, and it has the right hand is very rare miles per hour, and a tach with a temperature and a fuel gauge. Now, of course, I can install this, and you can see it's broken, so I'm going to have to restore this. I'll talk about that at a later time. But I do have a left-hand drive one. Stand by. I do have a left-hand drive one, and it is the standard 85 mile an hour. Also, both of them have the six-digit mile gauge and also a trip meter. And this one has a clock, and then this has the deluxe wood grain dash on it. So basically what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the cluster out of that. If you notice, the speedometer is on the right hand side and the tach is on the left, same orientation as this. So I'm going to take that off and put it on here, and then kind of move these brake and things, move these these LED pieces around, and that's what I'll run. And then I also have a cami front scoop that I'm going to decide whether or not to use or to give back. We'll use it, and we'll take some data